At around 9 a.m. April 14, senior wireless operator Jack Phillips receives alerts warning the Titanic that there are icebergs ahead in the west coast, with smaller icebergs posing a risk to a large ship like the Titanic. But when he mentioned this to Captain Edward Smith, Smith told them not to worry about anything and decided to ignore the alerts. Later, in the late afternoon of the Titanic, they received another message from the German ship SS America, telling the Titanic they just passed two gigantic icebergs. But unfortunately, Smith didn't receive the message. They would later receive more messages about more icebergs coming ahead, but they all chose to ignore the messages, with many vessels choosing to stop in the middle of the ocean and wait until it was clear and safe, which the Titanic didn't do. At 11 a.m. on April 14, officers were then ordered to look out for any incoming icebergs, but unfortunately officers struggled to do this task because they were unable to see any binoculars, as well as cold air surrounding the area which masked any icebergs near. It's basically trying to look at the other end of the road on a foggy day. At 11:30, Officer Frederick Fleet then spotted an iceberg, ringing the bell to the bridge and famously shouting, "Iceberg right ahead." Officer in charge William Murdoch ordered the ship reverse its engine and lock the airtight doors to the compartment so that water couldn't get in. However, reversing the engines was hard because the ship was moving at a pace of 41 kilometers per hour, because Smith had refused to let the ship go any slower since he had promised all his passengers aboard that this would be a fast trip. A few minutes later, at 11:40, the Titanic tries to steer away from the iceberg, but still scrapes against an iceberg for around 7 whole seconds, which then creates a hole at the starboard/right side hole just below the waterline. Water starts to seep into the Titanic, with 7 tons of water entering per second. At 11:50, the front part of the ship already starts to tip higher due to the amounts of water entering the Titanic. Officers are trying to send distress calls about the Titanic, but all ships were too far away. At 12:20 a.m., another ship, the Carpathia, was able to receive one of the distress calls, but the bad news was that the ship was 107 kilometers away, meaning it would take hours for the ship to arrive. At 12:45 a.m., Smith orders the first lifeboat down, with women and children going first, with 27 people on the first lifeboat, but keep in mind the capacity for the boat was 60 people. At around 1 a.m., the crew sees that the grand staircase on Deck E is fully covered in water. The Titanic, slowly but surely, is starting to sink, and at 2:18 a.m. the ship fully breaks into two. Only minutes later, at 2:20, the vessel is fully submerged into the North Atlantic Ocean, just 643.73 kilometers away from Newfoundland, Canada.